What's up? This is Tim with Tactics Boardshop, and today I'm going to teach you how to rethread your truck axle so you can get that axle nut back on there. Let's get started. Skating is tough on every inch of your skateboard. When you're learning flip tricks, landing primo a bunch, or skating gaps and kicking out, the ends of your axles are going to get smashed up from hitting the ground. When the tips of your axles get smashed or mushroomed out over time, the threads become damaged and it makes it hard to take off the axle nuts and even harder to put them back on. This can be a huge problem when you get new wheels or a bearing explodes and you need to take off your wheel, because getting that nut back onto the messed up axle is a pain. This is where rethreading your axle comes in handy. You can shave off the metal blocking the threads, allowing the nut to go back on smoothly. The only equipment you'll need for this is a 1/2-inch wrench or a skate tool, and a 5/16 imperial die with a thread count of 24 threads per inch. Fortunately, there are some skate tools that come with the correct die built into the tool to make it easy, so I highly recommend getting one of these tools for this purpose. It's also handy that the threads and axle diameters of trucks have been standardized, so you can use the same rethreader for any brand of truck. A file can also come in handy to grind away any bits that are sticking out and making it hard for the rethreader to get onto the axle. I'd also recommend getting some replacement axle nuts in case the old ones are too smashed or got stripped when you took them off. If you have some old axle nuts from a previous set of trucks and they aren't in too bad a shape, then those could work too. The rethreading process is pretty simple, but definitely be careful and take your time getting it lined up properly so you don't unintentionally grind away the actual threads and strip the entire axle. If you're using a die from a hardware store, or if you're using the pig tool rethreader, you might have to take the truck off first. But if you're using the independent or reflex rethreader, then you can leave the truck on the board. It might take a bit of force to get the die on there. When you start twisting the die, be sure that you keep it completely flat, perpendicular to the axle, because you don't want to start cutting new threads that are crooked and don't line up with the original threads. Keep your hand sturdy and turn it slowly clockwise. You'll feel some resistance as the die cuts away the metal filings that are obstructing the threads. Once the die gets through the mangled threads and links up with the original threads, you'll feel less resistance and you can stop turning it. You don't need to twist it all the way to the bottom, just go down far enough to clean up the messed up ends. Back the tool out and check your work. If you did it right, the threads on the end should look cleaner and the nut should be able to catch the threads. Do a quick check to see if the nut will go on. If it does, go ahead and put your wheels back on and go skate. I wouldn't recommend doing this to your axles frequently, because since you're literally shaving away tiny bits of metal from your axle, the axle nuts could eventually become loose and not sink into the nylon lock part of the nut, which could cause the nuts to loosen and fall off on their own, so only do this when you need to. I wouldn't recommend using an angle grinder to grind away the mangled threads, because you could accidentally grind away too much, making your axle widths too short. Then, depending on how wide your wheels are, you might not be able to get the nut all the way onto the axle, which might make your wheel fall off unexpectedly. If you got any questions at all or tips of your own about how to rethread your truck axles, just leave them in the comments down below, or just give us a call and we can help you get the answers you need.